Another mistake that some of CISOs make is that we neglect a little bit backup frequency. So in many cases, when I'm talking to my customers about their initial expectations towards backup of their data, they say that weekly backup is fine, or daily backup is fine, or some small infrastructure. And this is a good place to start. However, what we really should do is, first of all, do some analysis. What can be improved to have this backup frequency higher? Why is that? The higher backup frequency we have, the lower the data loss we have. All of you CISOs are probably familiar with the term called recovery point objective, which is one of the metrics of how efficient our backup is. And the higher frequency we have of the backup, then as a result, we have lower RPO, and in case of incident, we are losing less data. Because if you're running backup every week, let's say on Saturday, an incident happens on Friday, you are losing week worth of data. If you are having backup run every hour, every 3 hours, then in case of incident, you lose only 3 hours worth of data on your most important data. Obviously, to improve it, there's tons of things you need to consider. First of all, outdated technology. So using, very often when you ask even your developers how they bug their code, they might mention we have scripts for doing it. However, scripts are outdated technology and not reliable, and definitely not allowing you to run backups with high frequency. If somebody runs a script once per week, that for what scripts can do, that's already perfect. Realistically, it's less frequently than once a week. This is also related to lack of automation. So when you are thinking about frequency of your backups, you also should think about how to implement solution for automated backups. There are sometimes some more in-depth technical limitation like lack of resources, throttling, so API rate limits enforced by SaaS platforms like GitHub, GitLab, or Atlassian. Sometimes there are some artificial limits enforced by those platforms, like Atlassian not allowing you to run backup more often than every 48 hours. So on the one hand, there's outdated technology topic, and on the second hand, there's tons of technical topics that you really need to dive into. And this becomes sometimes a challenge when we try to approach it. So it's also good to consider taking on board somebody who analyzes those different limitations and can advise you the best possible backup frequency, knowing these limitations and knowing how to work around them. And as mentioned before, if we classify our data, we can optimize backup frequency because we separately backup what really matters. So first of all, how to fix this? First of all, think about how to improve backup duration. So fix all those things that I've mentioned here, or find trusted partner, expert in backup technology who can help you with doing so. Think about implementing incremental backups. Incremental backups allow you to backup only data that have been added or modified since the last backup you made. This is extremely useful because thanks to this, you can even run backups once per hour or once every 30 minutes. That depends obviously on size of infrastructure, how many people are working on infrastructure at once, like how many developers you have making commits in GitHub, but we can work around this. Next one, and this is super neglected, monitor backup duration and determine average. So once you start monitoring, for example, how long it takes us to back up our Jira, or how long it takes us to back up our Bitbucket, then you can come to the point, okay, it only takes us 4 hours to back it up. Why we are backing it once per day? Maybe we can back up it 2 times per day. Maybe if we have team working in multiple time zones, we can back it up 3 times per day. And so change the frequency around the average. And at the end of the day, you will get all the benefits of your RPO recovery point objective as low as possible. For burst infrastructures I've seen, we've managed to keep RPO around under 1 hour, meaning that in the case of incident, you were losing only last hour worth of data. In one of the worst ones I've seen in the large automotive company from States, they had RPO before we started working with them over a week. They actually had incident when they lost 1 week's worth of data.